I was talking to this guy when I was working on the HGVs, and I truly thought this guy was the one. But boy, was I wrong. Welcome to another episode of Gay Talk. Welcome to Gay Talk. Yes. So, around 3 years ago, I was a HGV Class 1 tramper driver. And what that means is you're basically out in your truck 5 days a week. You eat, you sleep, and you live in your truck. You don't go home every night. You could live in Fort William and you could be traveling down to London and doing loads of collections in England and heading back up to Scotland. Like you are in your truck for 5 nights or 4 nights some weeks. And you have barely any human interaction. The only human interaction you have is with collection sites, delivery sites, and if you're one of the drivers that go into service stations all the time, that's your other bit of interaction, really. So, in my opinion, it's a very isolating, it's a very lonely job, and I couldn't cut it. Now, yes, you could call your family, yes, you can call your friends, but it's not really the same as being there and seeing them, if that makes sense. Now, we're all different. Some people might not find the job isolating and lonely, but that's my perspective. So, I wanted to give you that bit of backstory before I get into this story so you can kind of see my mindset throughout this, if that makes sense. So, like I said in the backstory, I found it to be quite lonely and isolating. Now, at night, when you've done your day's work, you have a few hours to chill out, unwind before you go to bed. And for me, I liked to go live on TikTok. That was my way of engaging with people and feeling sane, if that makes sense. Having some form of human interaction really made a difference to me. So every night I would pretty much go live on TikTok. And there was one night that this really, really, really good looking guy had commented on one of my TikTok lives, asking how I was and putting the odd kiss mark on the end of it. And I thought, damn, this guy's hot. I don't stand a chance for him, blah, 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 blah. And obviously at that point, he's not flirting with me or nothing like that. He's just commenting on my TikTok lives. So I continued to do my TikTok live that night. He's still engaging with it. And at the end of that live, obviously I click end live. I see a message from him in my inbox on TikTok. Something like, "Hey, you're quite good looking, kiss kiss." And at that point, I'm taken back. I'm like, damn, he's actually messaged me. He's like, in my opinion, he was the hottest guy I had seen in a very long time. He was like my dream guy. He had a mustache there. He had like, I think at the time he had a bit of a mullet. He was really, really good looking. And I remember just feeling like, damn, this could actually turn out to be something if I get to know this guy properly and all that stuff. So that night we're to and fro and we're texting, we're flirting, we're doing all that stuff. And he says, I actually like you. And he's watched a good few of my TikTok lives, obviously, and he could tell what my personality is like. He could tell what I'm like as a person. He's probably got to know my character, if that makes sense. And yeah, it was quite good. And he wanted to be a lorry driver as well. She was asking me all these different questions about how I found lorry driving, and he was asking me where I was off to, and how I found the long distance driving, sleeping in my truck, all that stuff. So we were talking about that, and we are also flirting in the messages, if that makes sense. So at this moment in time, I'm feeling loved. I'm feeling like I've got someone there that I could talk to at any point. And yeah, that a lot of you guys might say that is weird after only talking for one night. But when I say we talked for about 5 or 6 hours, we truly did. It was insane. For the next week and a half, he's still engaging with my TikTok live content, and he's still messaging me on TikTok asking how I am. And to be honest with you, I enjoyed the distraction, I enjoyed the attention, and I looked forward to him being in my life every night. It was an escape. It made me feel less isolating. It made me feel less depressed. It made me feel full. It made me feel like I could start planning for the future because I genuinely felt me and this guy were getting along that well. We were talking all the time. We'd exchanged phone numbers. Like, we were going far. Do you know what I mean? And it was the best I had felt in a long, long time. I was a truck driver for about a year, and most of that time was depression, just being in your lorry all the time. And this guy genuinely did lift me right up, if that makes sense. He was there when I was in time of need. Like if something had happened that day on the trucks and I was sad, he was there to reassure me and kind of guide me on how to get out of that mindset of feeling sad and You'd crack the best jokes, and I genuinely did feel so loved and so excited. And I look back at it, and it was a distraction. And like I said, I just looked forward to him being there for me, and I enjoyed having someone I could call and speak to any point and stuff like that. So it sounds soppy now, but that's how I felt. So about a month into talking to this guy, things in my opinion started going downhill. He wasn't coming into many of my TikTok lives anymore. He wasn't DMing me on TikTok like he used to. Um, we pretty much called every night for the first sort of 3 weeks. And when we got to the fourth week, he started saying things like, "I'm busy tonight." And that went on for pretty much most nights. His texts become less consistent. And I guess I tried to make excuses for him. I guess I just thought, I like the way this guy makes me feel. Maybe he is just busy, or he'll get back to me later on. And that's the message I always related to myself when I was feeling down. Oh no, we'll call tonight. I look forward to calling tonight. All that stuff. If he texts during the day because he wasn't texting as much, I'd pull the lorry over just to check the message to talk back to him because I didn't want to be that person that was ignoring. I was more the person that wanted to put the effort in. The guy made me feel so special, so of course I would pull over and reply to him when I could, and it was honestly like that. And looking back at it, I'm just so soppy. I'm just so soppy that it happened that way. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's cringeworthy. A lot of you guys watching this video will be like, "That is so cringy," from knowing someone for about a month that you felt this way. And you know what? I can see what you mean because it was. But as a truck driver, you're that lonely and depressed that any attention's good attention and any social interaction's good social interaction. And I guess I just lived in a false fantasy and I'm embarrassed to even admit that. But I'm going to tell you guys all my stories and I don't care if it embarrasses me, to be honest. But yeah. Anyway, one night I finished driving the truck and I'm having my downtime. And because me and this guy aren't talking as much, I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling emotional. I'm sitting waiting up for him to call me, and in the corner of my eye on my phone screen, it says, "This guy's gone live on TikTok." Now, bearing in mind, 5 minutes earlier, he told me he was too busy and he couldn't call me tonight. Um, so I went onto TikTok and I thought, do you know what? I'm going to click on his live and see what he's up to. Now, I wish I didn't click on that live. I clicked on that live and it's him flirting with a woman and they're proper flirting. He's playing a video game, he's vaping, he's doing all that stuff, and he's not busy. Um, at that moment in time, my heart sunk. Um, I can't describe how I felt. It just felt like the world had ended because obviously you think something's going to happen with this guy and all that crap. It honestly did feel like the world had just ended. I commented on the TikTok live that he was in, and I says, "Oh hi, how are you tonight?" and all that stuff. And at that point, his face kind of dropped. It was like he knew that he wasn't busy. It was he didn't want me being there, and he didn't acknowledge me. He pretended that he didn't know me and all of that stuff. And at that moment in time, I just felt obliterated. I felt crushed. I felt emotional. And bearing in mind, I've got a truck and I'm tramping and I'm all the way down in England and I've still got to drive all the way back to Scotland and all that stuff. And now I've got this plane on my mind like, I thought this guy was the one. And it turns out he wasn't. Do you know what I mean? Now, before you all start saying, "Oh, but it was one night that he said he wasn't busy for," no, this happened heaps. Like I say, for about 2 weeks, this happened where he was less consistent with his texts. He was saying he was busy all the time, and that's why one day I just thought when I seen his TikTok live pop up, I'm gonna go in and see what the crack is here because I'm not gonna keep wasting my time developing feelings if he doesn't feel the same way. So just to clarify, that's why I went on his live, and that's obviously how this all uncovered, if that makes sense. So yeah, it was the worst feeling ever. I had a massive confidence hit. I felt stupid, and my mood dropped just like that. Um, yeah, maybe next time don't get feelings for someone after talking to them for a month on TikTok. Um, I guess I just felt differently with us calling all the time and him being there, and then all of a sudden just going down to I'm busy and all that stuff for the last month that we were talking. And yes, lesson learned. I know a lot of you guys are dead genuinely going to say, "What a soppy boy." Well, you know, it is what it is. I mean, we all make mistakes, and I've not been in loads of relationships. I don't rush into them, so it was all new to me at that point as well. Bearing in mind, so don't judge me too hard in the comment section, please. So for me, the conclusion is it wasn't love, it wasn't a connection, it was just attention. It was attention from him that made me feel like I loved him, and it was my mindset of feeling depressed and isolated that made me feel like I needed him. And yeah, like I said a million times, lesson learned. Don't ignore patterns, people. If you're talking to someone and they're ghosting you or they're saying they're busy and they might not be busy and it keeps going on and going on and going on, put two and two together and realize it's not working out. Don't waste your time developing more feelings for someone when you know for a fact that they might be up to something, if that makes sense. It's not worth going any further with that person because you're going to end up feeling like me, stupid. You'll be emotional for about a week, then you'll be stupid, and then you'll just feel like massive mood hit. Do you know what I mean? I love sharing these stories because a lot of you guys have gone through similar, and it makes me feel good that I'm not the only one that's gone through something like this. But sometimes I just feel a bit creepy because I develop feelings like that. Do you know what I mean? And I'm going to be honest about it. I'm just a loving guy. But yeah, if you've not yet seen any of my trucker videos, you might be able to see how I sort of felt. I'll link one of them, what corner is going to go in. I think it's going to go into this corner here. I'll link one of the trucking videos up here and you can go and give it a watch. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. And don't go so hard on me in the comment section. And if you're new here, please, please, please subscribe because there's loads of content coming. See you in the next one.